working on the website um, over these past months. It's been a bit like, in some ways, time traveling. When I was interviewing and considering a call for Advent, I went to the website. I noticed immediately that it was outdated. I could tell immediately that the pictures were old. When the fashion styles have changed to the extent that it just stands out in the photos themselves, yes. They haven't been given any TLC for a while. I noticed all that, but I was looking at it just to kind of get a sense of the congregation and what programs, and I knew looking at, okay, this is a snapshot of what's before. It'll be interesting to see how much of this is still happening and how reflective this is of where we are. But I didn't think too deeply about it. But now, after being here as your pastor for 4 years now, and taking not just a look at a website for what it's supposed to be for, but a deep look at it, actually looking at the content closely, actually having been here long enough to hear the names of the people that are in those photos on the old website that are no longer here anymore, who weren't here when I got here. It was a different experience than just encountering it fresh, as for all intents and purposes, a stranger. It was like time traveling. And to hear our members on our task force, to hear about going through the photos and looking at the photos that were on there, to read some of the content and some of the things that we used to do that we don't do anymore. It was, I could, though it wasn't my nostalgia, I could feel the nostalgia. I could also feel some of the grief, too, that the church we were about 20 years ago when that first website was put together, maybe a bit longer than that, we're not the same church as that. Some of us may be the same people who were there then, but we've changed. We've changed individually. Our lives have changed. The life of this congregation has changed. And then the new content, the new pictures, and to see the joy in the new pictures, to see the vitality in the ministries that we're doing now. To see the vitality in the ministries that we're doing now that we've always done, and to see the ministries we're doing now that new people who weren't here 20 years ago are involved with, and then new ministries that weren't here 20 years ago. No, we aren't who we were then. Who we were then was special. Yeah, there's some grief, and appropriately so. But there's also joy. There's also vitality. There's also not just God's love as we encountered it then, but God's love as we're encountering it now. And to see that vitality, to talk to Heather and Lisa and the conversations that I've had with Jen. The rest hasn't had as much interaction with Jen as myself, but to see them reflect back to us the vitality that they see in us, and to have them interpret that into the website, it's been an awesome experience. It's been a real gift. Yes, this is a service that we've paid for, but there are aspects of it that you can't put a price tag on, and that's the heart, and that they were able to reflect that back to us was just an incredible gift. And I hope, as you get a chance to look at the website, I hope you all can see that. In our gospel lesson, we hear Jesus confront Simon Peter. "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter felt hurt because he had said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." And Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt around and go wherever you wished. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hand, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you to where you do not wish to go." These are powerful words. Is Jesus confronting Peter? Yes. But he's not chastising Peter. He's not guilting Peter. In a way, Peter kind of misunderstands what Jesus is saying to him when Peter feels badly. It's easy for us to read these words in the context of Peter wanting to go fishing and see the words just in that context. You know, there's a lot of kind of pulp culture wisdom that floats around. It's always been the case. Nowadays, when pop culture wisdom floats around, it kind of spreads really quick because of social media. And every so often, I see something that I take issue with. And usually, it's something that's not completely wrong or false, but only captures part of the truth. So one of those things I've seen lately a number of times is the notion of don't live in the past. I mean, it's been around for a while. It kind of comes and goes. But I've been seeing it like in Facebook a lot lately. Don't live in the past. Don't keep one foot in the past and one foot in the present. Put both feet in the future. It's tempting to see that that's what Jesus is saying here. Why'd you go fishing? This isn't what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go out. You're not a spiritual youngster anymore. You need to go out and do the mission and tend my sheep. Bad, Peter, bad. That's not what Jesus is doing here. If Jesus did not like the fact that they went fishing, why did he stand there and as they were coming in after catching nothing, he said, "Hey, put the net over the side. There's some fish there." And they take in a huge haul that would normally break the net. I don't know. That sounds more like, if you're going to say, punishment or reward, that sounds more like reward for fishing than punishment. That sounds more like approval than disapproval. Jesus was ticked that they had gone fishing and they weren't about spreading the gospel, spreading the good news of his resurrection. Why did he cook breakfast for them? and serve them. That's not what's going on here. This isn't about approval or disapproval or Jesus trying to judge them or guilt them. Jesus knows that they've been brokenhearted. He knows that they've gone back to that which is comforting to them. That their hands, that their arms, that their bodies, their minds have gone fishing so many times that there's a natural rhythm and comfort there, almost a mindless distraction to it. That Peter saw an opportunity to fish and say, hey, I'm going to go fishing. And the others are like, yeah, we're coming too. Like, oh, my heart's been torn in two. And now I've been filled with a hope that seems too good to be true. I've gone through emotional whiplash. And yeah, maybe some fishing would be nice. It's not the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Tiberias will do. And Jesus sees them out there. And he loves them. And then when Jesus confronts Peter, it's more than about a reaction to fishing. Do you remember what happened during the Passion? Do you remember what happened on Monday, Thursday when Jesus was betrayed after they had the Passover meal with one another? Do you remember what Peter did? It's not a coincidence that Jesus happens to say 3 times redundantly, Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? Do you remember 3 times and Peter in another context of some sort? What does Peter do 3 times before the cock crows? Yes, he denies Jesus. This isn't judgment. This isn't some Jesus guilt trip. This is an absolution. This is saying, Peter, when you denied me, Peter, you denied me. Do you love me? Yes, Jesus, I do. Peter, you denied me a 2nd time. Do you love me? Yes, I do. Peter, you denied me a 3rd time. Do you love me? Yes. And I love you too, Peter. You might not feel like you're worthy to be my disciple, Peter, but I love you, and I've got a purpose for you, and I want you to share the love that I give you right now, the absolution I give you right now, the way I have fed you with these fish right now, and I want you to tend my sheep, feed my lambs. Go, Peter. The pop culture wisdom. Yes, there's wisdom in not living in the past. But there's more to it than that. Don't let that wisdom become toxic positivity for you. Because you know what? Sometimes it's difficult to not live in the past. That the pain of the present can be such that we want to escape and kind of continue and perpetuate the past to avoid the pain of the present. And sometimes that pain in the present is such that it's really difficult not to stay in the past. And what can be meant as good encouragement, don't live in the past, becomes a heavy cross, a heavy burden to bear. It's really hard to just buck up and cheer up, especially if you're suffering from like clinical depression. But you know, likewise, you can't run from the past either. That this whole don't live in the past can be unhealthy in a way where you try to live in the present to the point where you ignore the past because of the pain of the past. And as long as there's unhealed pain in the past, no matter how much you ignore it, you'll never escape it. I have to imagine that as those disciples becoming apostles were in that boat, part of them was remembering a time before Jesus when life was simpler, and that was comforting. I have to think that they were also remembering the first time they met Jesus, because it was while they were fishing. And what a huge difference Jesus made in their lives. And when Jesus was there in the present and makes the same miracle of catching fish happen again, that love that Jesus showed them in the past was revealed to them again in the present. That, you know what? It's okay to comfort ourselves. It's okay to step in the past and remember how God has loved us in the past. To cherish those memories, but not get stuck in the nostalgia. But then to take those ways God has blessed us in the past and be reminded of how that feels, that we may recognize how God is loving us right now. That we may take those ways that God is blessing us today, God's sightings, that we may go into the future, that we may go to those around us, sharing those God sightings in the lives of those around us. That just as God has fed us and tended to us, we tend to those around us in the same fashion. You see, there's a commonality between the pictures on the old website from 20-some years ago and the pictures that are on there now. The joy of God's love. Let us step into the future of this church, fed and nourished, that we take more pictures of God's love in the faces around us in the years to come. And this time, let's update the photos on the website. Amen.